Okay, kids, so today we are learning that God keeps his promises. Isn't that amazing? We have our 5 promises over here. Don't know if you can see them, but we have 5 promises that we love to remember. Oh, they're up there for you to see. And God always keeps his promises. And we're going to be looking at some people from the Bible that knew that God kept his promises. But you know, they had to wait a really long time to find out if God's promises would come true and to find out if God really would keep his promises. And their names were Simeon and Anna. Now, kids, have you ever had to wait a really long time for something? Put your hand up if you have. Yeah, okay, put your hand back down. Now, I heard someone shouting out, which I don't really like, but you are right. Christmas. We have to wait a really long time for Christmas, don't we? We have just spent having so much fun remembering about Jesus coming to the world as a baby. But now we have to wait a whole nother year until it happens again. And it's the same with our birthdays. Now, it's my birthday in 2 days, so I don't have to wait very long until my birthday. But then after then, I've got to wait a whole another year until my birthday comes again. That is going to feel like such a long wait. Or maybe there's waits. Have you ever had to wait in a line and like you're just waiting there for so long that your feet start hurting? Or maybe you wait outside your classroom door in the morning waiting for the teacher to open it, and you just get so cold and your fingers feel frozen and your nose feels like it's about to fall off because you're just so cold and you're just waiting for the teacher to open the door. Sometimes waiting can be so hard. And Simeon and Anna, they had to wait a really long time to know that God's promises would come true. But they trusted in God and they knew that God always keeps his promises. So Simeon, he was a man and he was really old. When we hear about him in the Bible, he is really old. And God has promised him that he is sending the rescuer, Jesus, to save the world from its brokenness. And Simeon got promised by God that he would get to meet Jesus before he died. But you know, Simeon was getting really old, and maybe he started thinking to himself, God, you know, I'm getting quite old. If you're going to send the rescuer before I die, you need to do it quite soon. But you know, Simeon, he kept trusting God. And one day, God told Simeon to go to the temple, which was a special place where God's people went to chat with God and hang out with God. And Simeon went to the temple, and he was waiting there. And you know what? He turned around, and who walked in? Mary and Joseph came into the temple with the baby Jesus. Simeon was amazed, and he ran over to Jesus, and he held him in his arms, and he said, Jesus is here. The rescuer is here. God keeps his promises. He was so excited. Just as God had said that he would get to meet Jesus before he died, God's promise came true. He got to meet Jesus. He was so happy. Now, there was another lady called Anna, and she lived in the temple. And just like Simeon, she was really old. And just like Simeon, God had promised her that he was going to send the rescuer, Jesus, and that she would get to meet him. And one day, she came out of her room in the temple, and what did she see? She saw Simeon holding the baby Jesus and being all excited. And she was really excited too, and she ran over to Simeon and Jesus and said, woohoo! She couldn't believe it. Jesus, God's rescue plan, was here. And you know, Simeon and Anna, they had to wait a really long time for God to keep his promises. They'd known this promise right from when they were children, just like you. But they were really old by the time that God's promises came true. They had to wait almost their entire life and keep trusting God and keep remembering that God always keeps his promises. And that must have felt like such a long wait. But you can wait on God. You can trust that God will always keep his promises. And it's the same for you and me, kids. Sometimes God's promises, it can feel like they take a long time to come true. But we can keep trusting God and keep remembering that God keeps his promises.